and welcome to this edition of Takeaway Tuesday. I'm Andra Chamberlain, and I am a child forensic specialist and trainer at the National Children's Advocacy Center. Today we're going to be talking about one of the several challenges that we as interviewers face when we're attempting to gather information from preschoolers. And what we know that is important to an investigation is the child's ability to sequence events, to tell us what happened and in the order that it occurred. And this is known as temporal sequencing. And one of the many ways that we attempt to gather this information is asking what happened before or what happened after. Now, when we're talking with preschoolers, that's going to be difficult because it's something that they can't quite do. And we're going to be talking about what we need to do instead and how we can gather some information. But first, let's talk about just the challenge of recalling and relaying information. And there are several factors that impact a child's ability to conduct a memory recall and then to articulate that information to us during a forensic interview. Some of the elements that affect memory recall are how familiar an event is. Is it something that occurred one time, or was it repeated numerous times? How long has it been since the event and the disclosure or talking about the event? How familiar the child is with the environment in which they're being questioned, and also just the types of questions that are being asked. Often the challenge that is faced or that we see in a forensic interview is the assumption that children understand and use language like we do as adults. And so their cognitive and linguistic challenges are not taken they're not paid attention to. And so the assumption is that these little ones should be able to give us as much information as, say, a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old. And that simply is not the case. What we do know about language acquisition is that it's gradual, and that certainly as children get older, the better that they are. But what happens is that as children are acquiring language, they're acquiring what we call linguistic rules, and often this is piecemeal. So children might get a little bit of the rule before they get the whole rule. Again, we often see this with before or after. Children use these words before they truly understand what they mean. And what happens then in a forensic interview, if we ask a child, well, tell me what happened before. Generally with preschoolers, they're going to tell us what happened afterwards. So let's think about this. There is what, if you look at the literature, is called the order of encoding bias. And what that means is that as an event occurs, and let's say X, Y, and Z, then when children talk to us or they recall information, they generally do it in the order that it was encoded, so X, Y, and Z. But we, in our wisdom as interviewers, sometimes will ask, well, before Y, tell me what happened. And then with this order of encoding bias, is they're going to tell us what happened afterwards. So when we think about it, and often we'll say this in training, is that preschoolers are forward order thinking. In other words, they're going to give us what happened next, what happened afterwards. They're really going to struggle and probably not do very well if we ask what happened before. And then the challenge is that we've made these little ones appear incompetent because we're asking questions that just are not developmentally appropriate. Another way that we see this before or after when we're talking with children is, did the event happen before or after Christmas? And again, this is looking at temporal order. And children literally, especially the preschoolers, they can't do this. Even other children, older children up to maybe latency age, can be really challenged with this particular question. And so it's best, as you're talking with preschoolers, is just not to ask. In addition, that did it happen before or after Christmas is what's known as a forced choice question. We have two options: before Christmas or after Christmas. And children literally may not know the answer to that question and feel like, because they're talking to an adult, an authority figure, that they have to give a response, not understanding that "I don't know" could be an okay response and might even be proper. What we do know about the little ones is often they're going to guess. So we just want to avoid, especially with preschool children, those forced choice questions. We also know those nice, big, open-ended, narrative encouraging questions are really too big for the little ones. So where does that leave us as interviewers? We're trying to gather information. We're trying to determine, did this child experience an event? Did they witness an event? Or even better, did nothing occur? What we try to say, or what we do say in training with the preschool children, 3, the 4, and the 5-year-olds, if you can get a who and a what and maybe a where, you're truly golden. And to have an expectation that children can give you more is really setting them up for failure, and it's going to make them appear incompetent. Children of this age, yes, can they give us information? Definitely they can. But we need to ask in such a way that they understand the question, they can conduct an effective memory recall, and they can articulate the response in a way that we can understand. By asking questions in a way that gathers this information, we are setting that child up for a successful interview. If you'd like more information, please check out calio.org. Also look at the NCAC Virtual Training Center for different webinars and seminars that have been recorded with experts in the field. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please email me at the link below. Thanks and have a great day.